Salvete omnes, ego sum Magister Sullivan. We're back for Caesar 1.4, where Orgetorix finds out, and then we'll go on to Caesar 1.5. So where we last left Orgetorix, the best amongst the Helvetians and the most wealthy, was planning a coup, and it looks like things didn't go his way. So we'll jump in. So these things. So S is going to go with Annunziata here. So these things, or this thing, this affair, this deed is announced or was announced to the Helvetians through or by a court proceeding where evidence was presented. So that's per indicium here. So next we go to here. They forced Orgetorix to plead his case. So causa plus dicere is idiom. So to plead his case from chains, which is their custom, their habit, their want. And if convicted or if guilty, it was appropriate, it was custom for a punishment to follow. And that one being to be burned with fire. So, cremaretur, this is the imperfect subjunctive, which hopefully we watched the video. And that's in what clause, right? So, on the agreed upon day of speaking, of saying, so the two genitives of saying the case, this is going to go with that one. Orgetorix gathered or urged from all sides all his own household, and familia in Latin, household means anyone who is in his family, not just his family members, but anybody attached to it, as we'll see. And to the tune of 10,000 humans, so 10,000 of humans at the judgment, at the jury. And he led together all his clients and his debtors, those who owed him money, of whom, right, of whom, actually goes better with this one, of whom he was having a really large number to the same spot, to the same place, so to his court hearing. He snatched himself away, or he escaped through them, per nos, by them, through them, lest or so as not to plead his case. Right. So this is the opposite of ut. It's a here a purpose clause, but governed by or started by ne. And again, here we have our imperfect subjunctive. And when the state, or because or since the state, or when the state, having been incited by this deed or by this affair, having been stirred to arms, tried to follow out, to exact, to follow with its own judgment, its own law. And the magistratus here is the subject, the magistrates, the officials gathered, or were gathering, a multitude or a large number, and then we have the genitive, of men from their, or from the fields. Orgetorix died, or Orgetorix is dead, Orgetorix was dead, Orgetorix died. And the suspicion was not away, or there was not suspicion away, as the Helvetians thought, or as the Helvetians think, that he himself will have decided upon death for himself, In other words, it's speculated that Orgetorix took his own life rather than have to, admit that he did something wrong. So we'll stop there for now. Yeah, and I'm back. All right, so Konski Wirit here could be a future perfect verb. I'm sorry, yeah, or which is we'll have decided upon, or it could even be a perfect subjunctive, but we'll talk more about that later. All right. All right, so here back with the Helvetians, one fell coup doesn't bother them apparently, so they're going to continue on after Orgetorix's demise. So his death, after his death, nevertheless, the Helvetians, there's our subject, Helvetians konantor is our verb, try to do, so try to do the thing which they had decided upon. All right, so again, if we look here, around this is our pluperfect, so that's where you heard me translated as had. And the thing that they decided to do was they decided to leave from suis finibus, from their own boundaries. So again, we're going to draw a line from suis all the way to finibus here, where they thought that now they so they thought that arbitrati sunt, they thought that they have been prepared, had been prepared for this thing, for this deed. Here's our main verb here. So they set fire to their own, or all their own towns, in number, or to 12 in number. So 12 in number. Again, in Kendut, they set fire to the villages to the number of 400, and also the remaining private buildings. And komburunt, urunt, or uro is also the verb to burn. So again, they burn all their grain. Besides that, which they were about to carry with themselves, or with them. So all the stuff that they had kind of, remember they're spending 2 years to pack things up. So all the grain that they had raised from there, they're going to bring it with themselves. And they do this so that, or in order to, so we have another clause here. So now we have this ablative absolute. So spe in supelata. So with the hope, so that, hear me say it, with the hope, the ablative absolute, with the hope of returning home, having been carried away, or having been left behind, they would be more prepared for the purpose. This is a gerund, so we have a gerundive here, for the purpose of undertaking all the dangers. Right. So this is one giant gerundive. Right. And this is a gerundive of purpose. Okay. They order each person, or each member, to bring out of their house for themselves all their enough grain, right? Enough grain, enough material of a 3-month supply, basically, right? And now persuaden, so they persuade. Now we're going to look for ut clause, right? And here we have a different spelling of ut. It's uti, and so they persuade the Raraki and the Tulingi and the Latubrigi, and their own neighbors, to, having used the same concilio, the same plan, the same advice, uh, to set out, right? Here's our subjunctive, to set out with them altogether. And here we have another ablative absolute, with all their towns and villages having been exustis, having been burnt out, having been burnt to the ground. And they receive to themselves, or receive for themselves, um, the Boi, which is a tribe, who had dwelled or had lived trans Rhenum across the Rhine and had crossed into the Norican land, the land of Norea, and they had again attacked the land of Norea, um, having received or having welcomed them as allies to themselves. Right. So that's Caesar 1.5. Again, where the Helvetians are going to continue with Orgetorix's plans, and now they're going to persuade other tribes to join with them and welcome the Boi as allies to themselves in their cause to take over all of Gaul. So that's it. That's Caesar 1.4, 1.5. I'll post this later, and valete omnes.